So let's talk about the stages of this because I don't know if there's a direct parallel. What you hear a lot is this is sort of like the advent of the internet. It's sort of like when computer technology started to come into offices, and that took a period of time and then it became ubiquitous.
Hmm.
Do you see this as a parallel to that, and it will take a number of years for most companies to adopt AI in a meaningful way? Do you think it'll be relatively quick? And maybe, is there a parallel in the technological space that you actually look at AI integration and AI technology and you can compare it in a similar way that it will take companies and society a similar amount of time to adopt?
Yeah, I think the speed of adoption is going to be subject to a number of constraints. I think the first one is understanding data. Um, I think organizations, particularly, and I've worked for the past 20 years predominantly in financial services, businesses who have enterprise monolithic applications whose data strategies have developed organically over the years, currently recognize that actually there is a significant precursor of work to be done in data readiness and really understanding um, artificial intelligence readiness and how they might be able to use it, because unless that not just the data strategy, but unless the data structure, data architecture is in place that's conducive to implementing AI, I think the adoption curve will be slowed down. I think the second thing is I do think it's going to take a number of years for people's understanding and use of AI to mature. I mean, we've seen an incredible acceleration over the course of the past 6 to 9 months, but the reality is most people, commercially or privately, are using AI as a simple prompt tool. And I think we're just now starting to see the emergence of organizations that are starting to look at more agentic approaches to AI, and where the potential operational gains could be realized for example, from the automation of workflow that's currently manually processed. So I think there are three key things really. I think kind of data readiness. I think operational appetite. And I think user education. I think are the key things.
Now, it seems like each of those is a unique challenge, but user education might be the biggest challenge in that I think it's fair to say that a good portion of your organization needs to be comfortable with these tools to actually get the gains. You can roll them out, you can have the data architecture in a good place, but if your people aren't using them or using them the right way, or experimenting in a way that allows the organization to realize potentially custom use cases, the gains are going to be limited. So, how do you advise companies to approach this education piece when you may have some folks who are 6 months out of school and
Mm.
they've already used this technology, it's native to them, and you may have 30-year veterans of the company who are in executive positions who still struggle with today's technology, let alone
Mm.
adopting these?
Yeah, I think, and I'll draw the parallel with my company, Answer Digital. We provide technology consulting services to domestically in the UK to predominantly public sector, our healthcare or our national health service, and then also in private sector financial services. Now, the reason I offer these two sectors is because they are highly regulated environments, and therefore the use of AI has got to be not necessarily tightly governed, but has got to be run within the context of guardrails, particularly when it comes to data security and the safe use of AI. I think, and so one of the things that we did very early was we encouraged all of our consultants to be entrepreneurial, to be exploratory, to get creative with how they use AI in their day-to-day jobs, and how they identify opportunities for the use of AI when working with clients. But one of the things that we did was we created an AI charter. We didn't necessarily want to go to a full AI policy, because I think at this stage it's still quite difficult to actually be able to enforce that policy. But what it did do is accelerate us and my colleagues through an understanding of what does safe use of AI mean. What does ensuring that we're using LLMs in secure environments, such that models are not taking models are not then training using the interactions that we've had with them. Equally, looking at particular tools. So we've got a significant number of software engineers in our organization. So looking at tools, GitHub Copilot is one of the first ones that we've started using in anger, and ensuring that we've effectively got guardrails around our use of it so that people, whilst people can explore, we do it within the context of safety and security. I think the key things really.